Argentina has defaulted on its debt 9 times throughout its history, more recently 2001, 2014, and 2020, sending the economy into a complete tailspin and begging for help from outside institutions like the International Monetary Fund. But what if I told you that Argentina's economy today is considered to be worse off than many of the other times they have defaulted in the past? So in this video, let's talk about why Argentina's economy is in such a bad place today, how it compares to the worst economic times throughout its history, and what new leadership is doing to avoid yet another default and economic crisis. But before we get into all of that, it's important to understand the same two things that have plagued Argentina's economy time after time after time. Let's start in the early 1900s, where Argentina experienced unprecedented wealth driven primarily by its booming agricultural industry. This prosperity attracted significant foreign investment and migration from Europeans who established things like wineries and farms. The influx of foreign expertise brought higher expectations of modern amenities, which transformed Argentina's infrastructure with utilities, roads, and electricity. This development not only stimulated the economy by employing a substantial workforce, but it also enhanced competitiveness as Argentina looked to export these new goods globally. Argentina became the world's leader in exporting things like corn, flax, and meat, and at times these products, along with others, were also traded to expanding markets in Europe for fuel and manufactured products. Unfortunately, the Great Depression disrupted this financial inflow, affecting Argentina as severely, if not more so, than the United States, as global trade came to a screeching halt. The ensuing instability, compounded by existing tensions over wealth inequality, paved the way for a military junta in 1930, transforming Argentina from a stable democracy to one of the most unstable economies globally, a trend that would continue. Foreign income streams dwindled to basically nothing, creating a need for new economic policies to jumpstart the economy. The government, seizing back power, opted for a strategy shift focusing on internal development and self-sufficiency. During World War II, Argentina accelerated its move towards self-sufficiency due to the absence of traditional trading partners in war-torn Europe. Post-war, this economic approach culminated in developmentalism, where major industries were nationalized, meaning the government now owned these businesses, doubling down on keeping everything in-house. Which leads us to the first thing that has plagued Argentina's economy throughout its history: a lack of exports, or in some cases, a general lack of interest in exporting their goods. Here's why this is so important and how it ties to the second thing that has plagued Argentina's economy, which we'll get to shortly. The decision to isolate from global advancements, while not unprecedented, proved to be a missed opportunity. Global trade emerged as a powerful driver of economic wealth and prosperity, showcasing the benefits of technological advances in various industries. So while they were just trying to stabilize themselves at home, Argentina missed an opportunity to hit their upside by simply selling their things to others for money. But Argentina's attempt at self-sufficiency had its own challenges due to the difficulty of producing everything locally. Protective measures such as high import taxes made local industries uncompetitive, leading to an imbalance between production and demand. As the government prioritized paying state workers well and implementing protectionist trade policies, inflation emerged as a significant challenge. The struggle to maintain high living standards made it challenging to roll back these measures, setting the stage for a vicious cyclical pattern. Charismatic leaders periodically pledged to modernize industries and compete globally, leading to short-term economic booms. But this cycle, combined with the flaws of developmentalism, resulted in challenges in repaying loans, prompting the printing of more money and increasing inflation. The ensuing economic crisis created reactionary fixes with little consideration for the interconnected complexities of an economy. So every 4 years, a new leader would get elected, make changes they saw fit to either undo something already in place or inject their amazing new ideas to stimulate the economy. But because much of Argentina's industries were state-owned, these decisions continuously worked for only the top 1% and not the other 99%. Argentina would see major swings in things like inflation and trade balance, which makes it challenging to build a thriving, stable economy that works for most. Which brings us to the second issue that has plagued Argentina's economy throughout their history, having an unstable currency. Argentina and inflation go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's hard to say one without the other. So now I'm about to show you 3 different charts with basically the same trajectory so we can understand how inflation, currency, and basically everything else from this entire video ties together and has worked against Argentina. The first chart is Argentina's inflation over the past 25 years. For the most part, this remained at a reasonable level until, let's say, about 2014, when it gained some serious momentum and then went to the moon after the global pandemic, currently sitting over 200%. The next chart shows the real exchange rate of its currency, the peso, compared to the dollar. As recently as 2001, the exchange rate was 1-to-1, but as we progress through history, that number climbs to 3-to-1, 20-to-1, and currently stands at over 800 Argentine pesos for every $1. And the final chart shows the money supply over the past 25 years. Again, we see a steady horizontal line that quickly converts to a panic-driven vertical line. And in this case, this means Argentina got busy printing more of their currency to avoid defaulting on its debt, which of course creates a whole other set of problems. These problems have been inherited by Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, who strangely has been blamed for some of Argentina's economic struggles, which is crazy because he's been president for about 6 minutes. But he does have some polarizing ideas that he thinks will improve Argentina's economy. Things like slashing government expenses, converting the country's currency to the dollar, and even abolishing the central bank. He has been preaching patience to the Argentine citizens to give him and his team some time to implement each of the baby steps in his plan, but there's one question everyone is asking. Is there enough time before the economy implodes? Before we get into how Javier Milei is trying to avoid the country's 10th default of its debt, I wanted to let you know that I make videos about world news impacting the dollar, so if you like topics like this, specifically Argentina, I'm gonna keep making update videos as this story progresses, so if you wanna see the next one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Argentina by far owes the most debt to the International Monetary Fund. In fact, they owe more than the second, third, and fourth countries on the list combined. Here are some of the things that Milei and his team have already done to help create more funds so that Argentina is able to pay down these debts, or at the very least, restructure with the International Monetary Fund. In this clip that went viral before he was elected, he was trying to make a point that if elected, he planned on getting rid of most, if not all, government agencies, at least those he deemed as a luxury expense. And on day one, he delivered, eliminating half of the 18 government agencies. And of course, this means people unfortunately lost their jobs. Some 5,000 people were laid off, which then trickled into the country's largest unions, who went on strike against his new economic shock measures. Milei and his team sent a bill to Congress that supposedly had 300 items in it, including eliminating price controls and bureaucracy to help promote industrial activity. Also things like raising taxes on some of its largest exported goods, allowing the privatization of 41 companies currently under the government's control, and removing limits on bonds issued overseas were also in the bill. Most importantly, Milei and his team have been working closely with the IMF these last few weeks, and wouldn't you know it, the IMF just released their new updated projections for Argentina in 2024, where they slashed their GDP growth projection from a 2.8% expansion to 2.8% contraction. I know, they publish these things at the start of every year, but it just seems like very interesting timing that they would have Argentina as one of their largest economic contractions when both sides are trying to figure out how to move forward with this 40-something billion dollar loan. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I want you to let me know what you think of this down in the comments. One thing that we know for sure, Argentina just passed the IMF's most recent program review, unlocking $4.7 billion to be dispersed. Basically, this is a program that tracks the metrics of Argentina's economy, or different goals set by the agreement. And if they pass each review, they get a portion of the overall debt offered to them. And it actually feels like the IMF is rooting for Javier Milei. At the very least, they do seem to see his vision on stabilizing the economy. The IMF managing director was quoted by saying, "The new administration is taking bold actions to restore macroeconomic stability and begin to address long-standing impediments to growth," and added, inconsistent policies of the previous government had left a difficult inheritance. Whew, shots fired at the previous administration. But hey, I guess it's good for Javier Milei to be on the good side of someone that you owe billions of dollars to. But no matter the support, Milei still has his hands full as the economy is almost in full crisis mode. Over 200% annual inflation, a 40% poverty level, median earners are having a hard time affording a roof over their head, and they have a regular trade deficit, making it hard to increase the currency reserves. Another area where there has been some criticism was Javier Milei's decision to reject the BRICS invitation. Yes, the group of emerging countries led by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This was very interesting, as many people thought a BRICS membership could help Argentina's economy faster than aligning with the United States and its currency, the dollar. An argument that I don't agree with, by the way. But some news surfaced recently that could significantly alter Argentina's economic plans going forward, and makes me think that Argentina might want to reconsider the BRICS membership after all. So to find out more about the relationship between BRICS and Argentina, make sure to check out this video here.